Welcome to the weekly Kashmir University Video Digest Quest. First, a look at the highlights. Professor Guha delivers a public lecture at Kashmir University. Department of Linguistics holds two-day function on languages. CCPC organizes a job drive. And we also have some notifications. Now, the details of all these events with your host, Nisar Dharma. Noted historian and public intellectual Professor Ramachandra Guha delivered a public lecture on Gandhi and social pluralism in South Asia. The lecture was delivered in the Gandhi Bhavan Auditorium. UNESCO Madanjit Singh Institute for Kashmir Studies had organized this public lecture. Shri N.N. Vohra, the Governor of the State and Chancellor, Kashmir University, presided over the function. Director, Institute of Kashmir Studies, Professor Gul Muhammad Wani, during the welcome address said that Gandhi presented alternatives to Western paradigms.
The theme, Gandhi and social pluralism in South Asia, is not only apt but important as well, considering the fact that the politics and ideology in almost all SAARC countries, unfortunately, is exhibiting majoritarian tendencies that has serious implications on the embryonic idea of South Asia. Today, as we are jostling with challenges of the 21st century, we need to understand as to how some of the conceptual frameworks developed by Gandhi can be useful in at least two very important areas. One, how to remove friction between nationhood and neighborhood. In all countries of South Asia, Gandhi said that God never created frontiers. Second, that how actually to use Gandhian thought to decolonize the politics in South Asia, which is heavily influenced by the nation-state construct of the European variety.
In his public speech, Professor Guha, while sketching the biography of Gandhi, said that professional failures changed him for better. Otherwise, he would have been an ordinary lawyer, not the great Mahatma.
He came back to India to try and set himself up as a lawyer in Bombay, and he practiced at the law court and failed miserably in getting any clients. He then goes to South Africa, that I'll come to in a minute, returns after a few years and tries again to establish himself as a lawyer in Bombay and fails again. I think this is a lesson for all of us who are taught to believe that you must always succeed in your first attempt, you must come first in class, you must get a first division, that Gandhiji failed twice to establish himself as a lawyer in South Africa. And had he not failed, had he succeeded as a lawyer in Bombay, we would not be here today. Because I would not be speaking about a lawyer in Bombay who has many clients and made a lot of money and built himself a large house. I'm speaking of a man who fundamentally transformed the history of South Africa, of India, and of the world.
He said that Gandhi, during his stay at South Africa, realized that Satyagrah is the best tool to give people their rights.
We will defy racist laws by going to jail non-violently, but we will not do it by violence, but we will defy them. So if the law says an Indian can't enter a white area, they will enter the white area, and they will be arrested and go to jail. And in this Satyagraha, which carries on from 1907 onwards, thousands of Indians go to jail. And after a little while, the Gujaratis stop going to jail. They say, "Bahut ho gaya. Ek baar jail gaye, bahut ho gaya. Now we have our business to look after." And Gandhi's Satyagraha movement is saved by the Tamils, who are much more courageous. And particularly a man called Thambi Naidu, who owns a few carts, horse carts, who does a kind of travel, small, petty business, few carts taking goods. Thambi Naidu, his three sons, all court arrest. So Gandhi is really admires the courage of the Tamils. And in acknowledgement of this, he starts a newspaper called Indian Opinion, which is the newspaper of the Indian community in South Africa. And this newspaper is printed in 4 languages. Gujarati, because Gandhi was Gujarati, many of his clients were Gujarati. English, because English is the language in which you communicate to the European rulers. Hindi, because there are quite a few people from UP, and Tamil. And at least to my knowledge, Indian Opinion, which starts in 1904, is the first multilingual newspaper in the world.
Professor Guha also explained in detail the difference between pluralism and diversity.
Pluralism is a political program. That's a very important distinction. Diversity is a social condition which exists in most societies, complex societies. There are people of different cultural, religious, linguistic, ethnic backgrounds in one city, one state, one country. Pluralism is the political program which says this diversity is important and must be nurtured, as opposed to a political program which says this diversity must be flattened and homogenized, and a certain religion or a certain language must become dominant and must define that city or that state or that country. So this distinction is very important. Diversity is a social condition which some societies have, others don't. There may be some societies that are not diverse, some isolated small-scale societies where everybody speaks the same language, it comes from the same ethnic stock, those are not diverse. So India, diversity is a social condition. Pluralism is the political program which says diversity is the inherent strength of my city or my state or my country, and I must nurture and further it rather than denying it or trying to suppress it.
The lecture was followed by an interactive session with the audience.
Hated or disliked Gandhi, and how did Gandhi rate Ali Muhammad Jinnah? And how did he treat him?
What we see in past 2-3 years, after this regime especially came into power, that the majority of the majority community in India is looking like a very Hindu. Do you think that's a threat to the existence of India?
Muhammad Ali Jinnah said somebody that you don't have to use Bengali now. That was an explicit statement. But now the statements are insidious, the statements are subtle, that we too don't have to use Urdu now. We too have to get ourselves Hinduized if we are to survive in a Hindu India.
Urdu became a casualty of the kind of the competitive nationalism between India and Pakistan, and it's a tragedy. But overall, I would still say, I mean, for example, if Urdu is the state language of Kashmir or Kashmiri, whatever it is, I think it's perfectly consistent with anything that has happened over India. The attacks on Gandhi today in India are not just by Hindu fundamentalists. They are by Bhagat Singh lovers, Subhash Bose lovers, all who think he was just a silly, soft, effeminate man because he had a walking stick and not a gun. I think to understand the relationship, I mean, there is truth and right on both sides. I think Jinnah also had a right to be upset with Gandhi because in 1920 at the famous Nagpur Congress, when Jinnah was counseling against non-cooperation, because Jinnah was a constitutionalist, he was shouted down by Gandhi's followers, and he took the train back to Bombay and left the Congress. So there was a history of personal rivalry, animosity. You can see it, and there were times when Gandhi, and particularly more than Gandhi, Nehru, used a somewhat patronizing language towards Jinnah.
Governor and the Chancellor of the University, Mr. N. Bohra, while thanking Professor Guha, said that the topic chosen for public lecture is very important in the current socio-political context of South Asia.
Without conscious, voluntary and totally committed acceptance of diversity and its implications, our vast country cannot go very far. In terms of governance even. Pluralism कोई ऐसा epithet नहीं है, एक सिर्फ idiom नहीं है कि आपने इस्तेमाल कर लिया तो इम्तिहान पास हो गए. I think we have to, in our bloodstream, on our pulse, we have to be pluralistic. Our entire political ideologies, philosophies would need to be embedded in pluralism. Our governance systems would have to arise from pluralism. नहीं तो फिर मुश्किलात और बढ़ेंगी, तकलीफ़ात और बढ़ेंगी और हम बहस करते रहेंगे और पीछे रह जाएंगे.
The Chancellor praised Professor Guha for being able to delineate pluralism.
High importance in the current context, in our current socio-political context, even in the current religious context. And I think in very simple words, he has told us that diversity, in very simple words, is a social condition, and pluralism is a political program. If it accepts the concept of diversity, preserves strengthens diversity, that is pluralism, not merely using the word pluralism and secularism as we do nowadays very freely to prove our bona fides or our antecedents. We call each other secular, etc.
The Department of Linguistics held a two-day conference on language. The inaugural function was held in the Humanities Auditorium. Head Department of Linguistics Professor Adil Kak presented the welcome address.
Linguistics has come a long way since the time of Plato and Stoics, and with every passing day its horizon is expanding, and more so its interdisciplinary nature. New frontiers are being breached and many new areas explored, and linguistics is flourishing. The relatively new fields of linguistics are opening new avenues for research and providing able support to the previously existing branches. Basically, what we can all agree on here is that linguistics, by keeping up with the times, is witnessing a positive change. Again, what is important to understand here is that apart from core and theoretical linguistics, applied linguistics has also been an area of great interest and progress, with standard work being conducted in areas like computational linguistics, dialectology, language documentation, language preservation, language teaching, forensic linguistics, biolinguistics, stylometry, to name a few.
Professor R.C. Sharma of Delhi University opined that language is a physical process and way of sharing and communicating.
Unfortunately, not much attention has been paid either in history or in linguistics to study early language encounters that have taken place with languages of South Asia due to early contacts and linkages in the historical past, and how they might have shaped the respective economic and cultural processes. I hope both historians and linguists would pay their attention to this as well. Language, no doubt, is simultaneously a physical process and a way of sharing meaning among people. A trend that has emerged fast in the recent past and has the potential to generate new ideas and further trends of historical affinities, as well as redoing historical linguistics and much of the sociolinguistics and ethnolinguistics, and can rebound the scientific interrelations between linguistics and a host of sciences in future.
Professor Siva Ramakrishnan of Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysore, said a lot of work has to be done keeping in view the technological developments.
Now Professor Ashish Sharma has given all the details, what are the current trends, how is going the linguistics theory and practice in the society, existing society. It is not a new thing for that, it is having somehow everything, how much the technology is developing. Along with that, where that linguistics, the humanities is coming up. So that for the forthcoming tenure, a lot of work is there to do, particularly in the current trends in linguistics and language and research. Now that we are having nearly 70 to 75 papers are there for presenting in this seminar. Kindly make success this program. We will take the further proceeding in the well-ready function.
Dean Research Professor Sheikh Javed impressed upon audience that linguistics is also a science subject as it has its own set of theories.
I see a great parallel between physics and linguistics. If we look at the origin of languages and origin of universe, I see that there is quite a great similarity between the two. So now I say it is a science, linguistics, because you have models and you have these theories like we have in physics, So we have models, your theories like continuity theory, discontinuity theory. It is very similar to what we have in physics, and for origin of languages you have this continuity, discontinuity theory, and physics also we have these theories like Big Bang theory, or we have steady state theory, very analogous things. And also what was very surprising to me is that some of the papers published in linguistics are in those repeated journals of science. Like there is this Nature, there is this journal called Science. They are the most repeated journals in sciences, in physics, chemistry, but also linguistics. Linguistics people also publish in those journals.
Assistant Professor Dr. Sajjad Wani proposed the vote of thanks, while Associate Professor Dr. Ejaz Muhammad Sheikh conducted the proceedings of the event. Center for Career Planning and Counseling, in collaboration with the National Skill Development Corporation, organized a recruitment drive in the university campus. The drive was held in the Convocation Complex. Dozens of candidates had come to participate in the job drive. Around 20 companies from various parts of India were looking for potential recruits. During the two-day drive, many candidates were selected. Now, some important notifications. The submission of online or hard copy of application form for admission to Masters in Craft Management and Entrepreneurship (NCME) program and PG Diploma in Business Administration at DBS, Pulwama has been extended up to and including August 22 and August 25 respectively. All prospective candidates for the integrated PhD degree program are required to submit the complete attached form latest by 26 August 2015. No form will be accepted after that. Applications on the prescribed format, which can be downloaded from the university website at www.kashmiruniversity.net, are invited for engagement of contractual lecturers in the Department of Earth Sciences for the academic year 2015. The application form, complete in all respects and attached with relevant documents, should be deposited in the office of the Dean of the Faculty at University Campus, Srinagar, by or before August 24. With this, we come to the end of our today's program. To watch all the episodes of Quest, log on to emmrckashmir.com. Send us your valuable suggestions at our email address quest@emmrckashmir.com. Signing off with the thought of the week. When I despair, I remember that all through history, the way of truth and love has always won.